If you remember my river bowl, you may remember that I finished it with polyurethane. I've got it on the big lathe, and the poly didn't cure, and it didn't cure, and it didn't, and even a year later it was still very tacky. It cured fine over the resin and over the over the walnut, but over the Cocobolo, I think maybe because of the oils in the cocoa, I don't know, it just would not cure. I've finished Cocobolo with poly before and never had a problem. And I even used acetone to clean the oils off of the Cocobolo before I put the finish on it, and it didn't seem to matter. Finally, it's been about 2 years, and it's not sticky anymore, but it's also very, very ugly. It's dull in places, it's fuzzy in places, it's just really weird. So I've got it on the lathe, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to refinish it. I'm going to hold it with my vacuum chuck and try to sand it out. I could put paint stripper in there to remove the poly, but I'm afraid of what that might do to the resin as well. I don't want to affect that at all. So I'm going to try to sand it all up. It would be nice if I could just sand it with like 400 and then buff it out. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm going to have to sand the poly off of it and spray it with lacquer. But whatever it is, and we'll get to that. So let me get on with it. Before I take the tape off, I want to turn my vacuum pump on and make sure this is still running pretty true. So it looks to be running fairly true. You'll have to pardon the noise of the vacuum pump. There's nothing I can do about that. I'll leave this in place just in case. It says it's pulling about 19 inches of mercury. Still running relatively true. It's nice and tight. I'm not going to turn it real fast. There's a lot of nasties stuck to where this poly was still real tacky. This is the roughest of the Scotch-Brite that I have. Well, it's scuffing that poly up nicely. It's got some nasties out here too. That is just really ugly in there. Some of these places, like you can see this nasty looking spot right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resand this completely. Not perfect, but it's not bad. So I'm going to start over again down here. For those of you that didn't see the original video, I'll put a link up in that corner and you can check it out. As I've been working on this, no doubt in the process you've seen this area right here. Well, you can also see there was 2 pieces here. Doug sent me these 2 pieces. He messed up on the cut, and so he made another one. So he sent me these 2 pieces, and I put them back together, and I put epoxy in between them. I staggered them. I brought them up this way, and Rich, the Beard Time 16, sent me this piece of Cocobolo, and the reason he didn't use it is because that piece of Cocobolo he was given was too big for his lathe. So he cut this much of it off, about that much, about a ½ inch thereabouts, and he didn't know what to do with it. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, I don't want to waste it. And I said, send it to me, I've got an idea. So when I said that, and he said he'd send it to me, Doug said, I got these pieces, I'll send them to you too. So I married the 3 pieces together and tried to color match this epoxy that Doug used, or the resin that Doug used, as well as I could. and I think I got pretty close. Anyway, I put it together with resin, and this is where Rich cut this off. He put it on the bandsaw and started his cut here and then cut it off. What this is I had a catch when I was turning it and broke this piece out, so I glued it back in. Not too much I can do about that. It is what it is, but all in all, I still think it's a beautiful piece. You know what, fat boy? Just because you open OBS doesn't mean you're recording. You moron. So what you missed was not much. I sprayed my first coat of lacquer on this, a thin coat. I'm gonna wait a half hour, come back, do it again. I'll do the same thing until I've got 4 coats on it, probably 4, and then I'll flip it over and do it again. Time for coat number 2. Now I'll put 2 more coats on and I'll come back. Okay, that's 4 coats of finish on the inside. It's looking really good. You can see the sheen. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight, then I'm gonna turn it over and come out here in the morning and spray the back and the sides, and this will be done. Here's the inside of the bowl, finished and buffed out. I think it looks really good. So much better than it did before. Now it's time to put the finish on the outside and the sides. For some reason OBS dropped my mic and I didn't realize when I was recording this. But here I'm spraying the finish on the edges and the bottom, and I will repeat this process 3 more times for a total of 4 coats before it's all said and done. I've got 4 coats of finish on it now. I'm going to let this cure before I pick it up and show it to you. Okay, so here it is. All done. Showed you the outside a minute ago. And, I mean the inside a minute ago. Nice and shiny. Been buffed out. This one, the finishes on it, I'm going to let this sit for about a day and a half before I buff it out as well. I buffed it out with Axe abrasive paste. Link and discount code in the description below, and Axe polish and restoring paste. So that's what I did on the inside here. I'll do the same thing here on the outside. Unlike most of my pieces, this piece will not be for sale at all. I'm keeping this one simply because of where the stuff that I made it from came from. It means a lot to me. So I'm hanging on to this one, and it will likely remain a centerpiece on my table. But I'm happy with it now. I wasn't happy with it with the original finish, but I'm just absolutely ecstatic now. As always, I'll put some stills up for you to enjoy. Not sure what I'm going to do next.